Hello again, this is Khalid Mustafa Ahmed, and I'm going to continue the previous session about Kerberizing Network File System version 4. Here in this session, I will show you how to do some important database administration tasks, which is very important from the security point of view, and also how to prepare for recovering from a probable database corruption. First, let's discuss the problem that may arise from not applying some strict policy for user authentication. A user can at any time sit on workstation and start typing a username and password to log in, and if failed, he will try again and again and again. And if we allow him infinitely doing that without any constraints, he will eventually get an access to some account and start tampering with files which is not supposed to, and that becomes a serious security problem, and we shouldn't allow that happening by enforcing some strict policy for user login. So we have to restrict the number of retries for account login failure to some definite number of retries, after which the account will be disabled and later on could be re-enabled manually by system administrator or automatically after passing some defined interval of time. We need also to restrict the number of characters, the number of character classes required in a password to be accepted and considered valid by the system. Also, we need to define the password expiration date. The user have to change his password before passing that date. Also, we need to create a backup copy from our Kerberos database and on regular basis, since the database itself is just a file and could eventually be corrupted for any reason. So let's first create password policy for securing our Kerberos user principals. For that, we need to run the KAdmin utility, which can be used for creating, modifying, or deleting password policies, as well as for creating, modifying, deleting the Kerberos principals. To create a password policy, we first need to define our requirements, like the maximum lifetime for password, during which it's considered valid, it will expire after that date, and the account get locked. The user must change his password before passing that date. The minimum lifetime of the password that shouldn't be changed before passing that date. The minimum number of characters a password should include. The minimum number of character classes a password should contain. The number of retries in case of login failure. After that, the account should be logged, and whether it could be unlocked manually by the system administrator or automatically after passing some defined interval of time. Let's now create a test password policy and apply it on some principle. Okay. You have to open text console and comes root here. Okay. Then you have to run the KAdmin utility. KAdmin All right. Then question mark to list all the available commands here, and here is it, added pol or added policy. If you just type add policy and press enter, you get the options and parameters that could be used with this argument, with this command. The maximum life, it is the maximum time interval you can use the password without changing it or before changing it, but you have to change it before passing this period of time. Otherwise the account will get logged, and it could be unlocked either manually by the system administrator or automatically after passing some definite period of time, but more about that in a moment. The minimum life is the time interval you have to keep the password unchanged. This to prevent you from reverting immediately back to the old password after changing it. The minimum length is the minimum number of characters a password should contains to be accepted and considered valid. The minimum classes is the minimum number of character classes a password should include, like uppercase, lowercase, numbers, symbols, etc. The maximum failure is how many times you can retry a failed login. The failure count interval, this is the time window within which the number of failed login will be counted. So if you try to log in to your account and fail doing that number of times that exceeds the maximum failure within this time window, you will be logged, or the account will get logged. Then you may need the system administrator to unlock your account. If the lockout duration option is set to 0, this one, or you have to wait for this period, the lockout duration, to be passed before the account automatically re-enabled. Anyway, account lookout only works for principals with required pre-auth flag is set. Okay, let's create a password policy and name it user policy. Added pol maximum life, let be 60 days. Minimum life for password, let be 3 days. Minimum length could be 8 characters. Minimum classes could be 2, it will be enough. Maximum failure, let be 3. Failure count interval could be 200 seconds, and the lookout duration could be 1 day, and the name of the policy, which is user policy. Okay, and press enter. Now we can use the list polls to list or check that our newly created policy is really created or not. Yes, it is here. Also we can use get poll get poll and policy name, which is user policy, to inspect it. Okay, here is the parameters we just set for this policy. Okay. You also can use the mode policy to make some modification on the parameter set for the policy, for some policy. And if we need to increase the failure count interval from 200 to 300 seconds, you can do that and just type the policy name, which is user policy, just enter, then get policy again, and as you see here, it's changed from 3 seconds to 5 seconds. But it is important to note that if you make some modification on policy parameters that's already applied to some principle, you may need to remove it from the principle and reapply it again before the change get committed on the principle. So it's important to note that the policy modification will not propagate automatically to the principle. So you have to remove it from the principle first and reapply it again. Okay. Now let's apply our password policy, our newly created password policy, which is user policy, on a Kerberos principle. Let's first list the principles here. List principles, and we can use tags for that. Okay, let's now apply our password policy to the tags principle here. And for that we have to use mode principle, not prince. Let's question mark first. Get prince, list prince. Mode prince. Okay, and for that we have to use the mode prince. Let's enter to see the available option here. Okay, mode prince. First let's check the tax principle. Get prince tax, and it doesn't have any policy attached to it, and nothing in there. So we have to add the user policy, or to attach the user policy to this Kerberos principle, and for that we have to use mode prince mode prince. Okay, first we have to add require pre-auth. The expire option here is the expire date for the principal itself, but the password expire option is the same like maximum life that we seen before in the when creating our password policy. The maximum life here is the Kerberos ticket maximum life, and it could be renewed during the maximum renew life interval. The policy options here is to add policy to a principal, and clear policy to remove the password policy from the principal. So we have to use, anyway, we have to use first require pre-auth, then we need to use the option policy, user policy. Maybe we need to add the maximum life 1 hours for the ticket, and the maximum renew life could be 1 day for tax principal. Okay. Let's get prince tax. Okay. Okay. The password expiration date changed to what we have set in the user policy. And the maximum ticket lifetime is just 1 hour, and it could be renewed during only 1 day. All right. And also the attributes require pre-auth is set, and the policy, user policy, is attached to the principal. Okay. Okay. Let's now create a backup copy from the Kerberos database. First, we need to exit this root shell. Okay. And SSH to the Kerberos server machine. Okay. Then be root there. Okay. To create a backup copy from the Kerberos database, we need to use the KDB5 util, then dump verbose, the database path, which is under var Kerberos KRP5 KDC, database name is principal, and dump file let be kerberos db backup. Okay, then enter dump. Okay, list, here is it. Okay, but to restore this database when the need arise, we first have to stop the Kerberos server and the key-admin server. Systemctl stop krb5 kdc and key-admin. Alright, then use the kdb5 util, and this time we have to use load, also verbose, and the database dir which is under var kerberos kdc krb5 kdc principal, and the file name which is kerberos, the dump file name which is kerberos db backup, which we just created, and just press enter and the database is restored. Then we have to start the services. Okay, and you are done. Okay, I guess it's enough for this session, and we will continue the discussion in the upcoming sessions. If you have any issues about this video, please comment me to let me know. Thank you for watching, and bye.